Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premium media podcast. Every week we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content, help you answer the question: if you feel the need to hire an expensive crisis management firm, maybe you should just pay your writers. Maybe it's time. I'm your host Ashley Hobley. Join me today, Dylan Blight.
Yes.
So for context, the AMPTP hired the crisis management specialists, the Levinson Group, this week because they realized all their messaging against the Writers Guild is not working. Quote, the studio needs better coordination, better messaging in response to the writers and the media. So, yeah, rather than spending money on that, just pay your writers. Simple.
It's an idea.
Crazy notion. Yes, on today's episode, we'll be talking about what's in watch history, going over a little bit of film news, giving this week's top 3, and giving some thumbs to trailers. Kicking things off, over on Holocron Entries, we talked about the first 2 episodes of the brand new Disney Plus Star Wars series, Ahsoka, in a new podcast series called Live Action Rebels. The series takes place in the timeline of The Mandalorian, I guess, and follows Ahsoka, who is tracking down the last Grand Admiral of the Empire, Admiral Thrawn.
Grand Admiral.
Grand Admiral Thrawn, who may or may not be alive. We don't know.
We know he's alive. I've seen him in the trailer.
It could be a flashback. Dylan, what did you think of the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka?
Yeah,
As
really
a massive
enjoyed it.
Ahsoka fan, to be clear, in case people don't know. Diehard Ahsoka fan.
Ahsoka, my favorite Star Wars character. Animated Star Wars is my favorite Star Wars. Really enjoyed this first 2 episodes. I'm really glad they did a double opener to kick things off, because I felt like it's a lot of introducing these characters for people who maybe haven't met them before, and then B, like catching up people who, like, where are they at, like in the time jump between the season finale of Rebels and this. Maybe you didn't watch The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, maybe you didn't care for that shit, so you haven't seen Ahsoka for a while, you haven't seen live action Ahsoka before, so I love catching up. Really great fights in it. I'm really enjoying Hera and Sabine, their first time seeing them is really good, and yeah, lots of intrigue going forward into the direction. Really good new bad guys in it, to not Sith, but to dark side
Force
users. Yeah, Force users. So really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, it was a good opening 2 episodes. Fans, I'm sure, will be super happy with the way they've brought a lot of the animated characters to life. I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Natasha Liu Borden as Hera and Sabine, respectively. They do a really good job and feel like the characters, even though it's been several years since we last saw them in universe, I guess, for an extended period, and could actually get a proper feel for their characters. Lots of fun practical stuff in there. Everybody's in love with the Loth Cat. Well, most people are. Some people not fans, but they're weirdos. The bad guys are very interesting and have a unique style and motives of their own. It's just really good so far. So I'm excited to be talking about it weekly over at Holocron Entries, and check out the next 6 episodes, because it's going to be 8 total. See where it leads. Does it lead to Grand Admiral Thrawn? Will we see Ezra? I don't know. Dylan's big question: will we see Hera's baby?
It is a big question. She has a child. Where is it?
Yeah, it's a human Twi'lek hybrid, right? So
yeah,
what's that going to look like?
I mean, I've seen it in Rebels at the end, in the season finale. They showed the child.
Well, they show a baby.
They show a baby. I haven't seen it in live action though. What these live action babies look like?
It's going to be older. Yeah, so yeah, that's going to be interesting. So this weekend, both Dylan and I were able to go see Past Lives, the much talked about film, uh, in America for a long time, considered one of the best films of the year. Debut feature by Celine Song, following two childhood friends, one named Nora, who immigrates from South Korea to America as a child, grows up to become a writer, and her friend
Hey, son.
Haesung, who stayed in South Korea, but has been trying to find her over the internet for several years, and their kind of reconnections at different points during their lives. Dylan, with so much hype around the film, how do you feel about Past Lives?
It's fantastic. Absolutely one of the best films of the year, easily. It's sort of hard to believe it's Celine Song's first directorial debut. Maybe there's a bunch of shorts and stuff that isn't listed. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's just such a well put together movie. It just seems like something of more of a seasoned director, I guess. So
She's done a lot of theatre, from what I can gather.
okay, that would be someone who's got control over direction. Then yes, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, it's hard to talk about without wanting to discuss like it. As soon as we left the theater, with Buddy as well.
Yes.
Talking about the ending, of course, and that's all most people want to talk about. Like, 'cause it just leaves you with such a discussion point, I guess. I don't. I feel like the movie, if you watch it, like it's got it. I never watched the trailer.
Really?
No.
Did we never?
No, I don't think we did. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So I watched the trailer last night, and the trailer makes it look like it's this like love triangle romance, I guess. That's sort of, maybe it's like the how to get American bums on seats for it.
Yeah.
And although the movie is in parts of romance, I definitely feel like the movie's more about, I don't know, life choices than it is like romance. You know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know, like it's hard to discuss again without spoilers, but it's a fantastic, two fantastic performances. I think Greta Lee especially is like really really good as Nora. Wonderful cinematography. Um, just it sort of gut punches you and makes you think about things as you leave. But yeah, definitely a absolutely fantastic film.
Yeah, I really, thought it was fantastic as well. I don't know if I enjoyed it because it was made me feel all the emotions. But yeah, it was a really beautiful film, really interestingly shot in like a very voyeuristic way at certain points. Like, definitely not like cut off, like cut off camera, like static. Here's a shot, there's a shot, done that. Lots of fluidness and movement and odd angles and that kind of stuff. So it definitely felt very unique. The story I don't feel like is mind blowing in any sort of way. It's just told in a very honest and relatable way. And like you said, yeah, it's definitely a lot about life choices and did we make the right decision, and like there's definitely the thoughts of sliding door moments and that kind of stuff throughout the film. Yeah, definitely Greta Lee's performance anchors the movie. She's the center of everything, I guess. Not to say that TU, I thought he was really good as well. And the craziest thing I think is like the movie has these like 12-year jumps. It's kind of crazy that they're able to do that, like early 20s look, and then jump ahead to mid 30s. It's the
It's all
same
about
actors.
the hair and clothes.
It is. It's actually crazy in that regard. So yeah, definitely a movie that I've enjoyed sitting on in the last few days and like pondering about certain lines and conversations and that kind of stuff. yeah, so Past Lives, I believe, opens wide or wide-ish this weekend. So we both would recommend you go out and watch Past Lives. Dylan, last week you watched Vacation Friends. This week you watched Vacation Friends too.
I did. I didn't like it as much as the first one, disappointingly. I feel like they sort of jumped the shark on this one because the first Vacation Friends is, I don't want to say grounded because it is over the top and silly, but it's just sort of about these four people these two couples lives intermingling, um very different couples, the quiet sort of normal, business dude, and then you've got John Cena's side where he's just like over the top ridiculous and whatever else. This film, the whole pitch is that Lil Ray Howery's character Marcus, he's like, hey, he's invited John Cena and Meredith Hagner's characters on this holiday, but doesn't tell them that the reason he's able to get them on this like really expensive holiday trip is because he's going to go there to close a business deal, which he thinks will be a week after they get there. But then the people for the business deal start turning up early, one of which is played by our mate Ronnie Cheng. Now that's all fine, and the movie sort of starts feeling very similar to the first one. It's like, this is fun, sort of funny scenarios and whatever else, like, Lil Ray Howery, Marcus trying to get John Cena's Ron to, calm down so he doesn't screw up this business relationship, and, like, just like, don't, like, say anything stupid and whatever else. But then Steve Buscemi's character turns up, who's playing Meredith Hagner, Kyla's dad, who's recently just got out of prison. And as soon as he turns up, he starts like getting him into this whole thing where he's obviously doing some dodgy stuff, and it ends up with the movie like having like mass chase scenes with people trying to shoot them and like all this other sort of stuff that wasn't in the first film at all. And I really didn't like that stuff. I felt like it took the movie, it just made it feel more like any other just loud, silly comedy that we've sort of had over recent years, with even like John Cena being in some of them, and so yeah, I first one I actually enjoyed. This one, meh.
All right. I was able to go to an advanced screening of Theatre Camps. This is a new film directed by Molly Gordon and Nick Lieberman, based on a screenplay by Molly Gordon, Nick Lieberman, Ben Platt, and Noah Galvin, starring Molly Gordon, Ben Platt, Noah Galvin. It follows a theater, like a summer theater camp in New York City, where a bunch of theater kids go and like learn theater stuff, and then at the end of the camp they like perform a musical or play, for the parents' approval. The camp has been running for several years, but has always been struggling with funds. And the lady in charge, unfortunately, the lady in charge, she's trying to go around recruiting people for the latest summer's camp. Joan, played by Amy Sedaris, she has a seizure during one of the musicals, and then goes into a coma. So her son, who is a social media influencer, has to take over the camp and kind of keep it running over the summer. So it's told in like a mockumentary style. The original, like, there's a lot of title cards with text and that kind of stuff, that do a bunch of punchy jokes and that kind of stuff. But the idea was the documentary crew was following Joan for the summer's camp, but now they're following all the residents of the camp as all the teachers and that kind of stuff as they try to do different things. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun, eccentric characters. Ben Platt and Molly Gordon play Amos and Rebecca Dyan, who are like a codependent couple. He's gay, but she's she's not. But they're very codependent and kind of have to do everything together. And their big thing is they write a musical, an original musical perform for the theater kids every year. And it's just weird and wacky stuff. But this year they're making a musical dedicated to the theater camp director, Joan, called Joan Still, because she's still alive. or is she? But then my favorite is Ayo Edeberry, who, of course she's in this as well. She gets hired as a teacher, but she has no work experience. She's lied about her work experience. She's just trying to bullshit her way through every single scenario. It's like, what is stage fighting? And all these kids are giving poetic answers and like, but what really is stage fighting? Because she doesn't know. It's a lot of fun. Lots of really good performances by little kids. Lot throughout the movie, it's like, oh, I know that kid from somewhere, from something. I can't place it. I haven't had a chance to go back and find everybody. But yeah, really funny, really good time. I would definitely recommend watching Theatre Camp. Theatre Camp is coming to cinemas 7th of September. Yeah, so I would recommend that one. So Dylan, we've both been watching the I guess HBO Max, but binge here in Australia, television series Telemarketers, which follows two former telemarketer workers, Pat Pespis and Sam Lipman-Stern, who were working at a telemarketing firm. Sam enjoyed like shooting videos and that kind of stuff, so he started filming stuff that was happening inside the workplace, CDG or whatever. And then they get the idea. They realize how corrupt the telemarketing world is and decide to like make a documentary. And that's what this series is. Told over 3 episodes. Lots of inside knowledge and kind of explaining how like these telemarketing firms will call on behalf of police or firefighter charities and kind of work, people over trying to get them to make a donation at the gold level we'll make sure you send out a decal, sticker decal, and then, a lot of the money, most of the money doesn't actually go to the charities, but goes to the company that does the telemarketing. And how much of a scam that is, and how it's kind of exploiting the American people and that kind of stuff. I found it really enjoyable. It isn't like a deep dive into the telemarketing world. Really, this documentary is about these two people making the documentary more than anything else, and like their experiences with working at CDG and like what was it? What did I say? Paul Pestis?
Mm.
Yeah, him trying to get over his addictions and past issues and that kind of stuff. I think they're really interesting characters and that kind of stuff, but I don't...
Pat Pespis.
Pat Pespis. Yeah, Pat just trying to deal with his issues and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was like interesting documentary, but it isn't like... I don't think it's going to make a massive change.
Have you watched the third episode?
Subject. Yes, I've watched the third episode.
Okay, yeah, I haven't yet. So.
Okay, so what have you thought of Telemarketers?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I feel like it's this. I feel like the person who should deserve the most props is the editor or editors, because it's this combination of footage that this like.
Oh, they shot like early 2000s, probably.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of like random, really bad footage shot by a bunch of drug addicts, basically. And then there's like more modern day stuff and whatever else. But the way that they've managed to meld this into a story and give it some sort of narrative, I think is well done. It's just, it's definitely not a deep dive into American telemarketing. It is all about, and I don't feel like this is a negative. It just means that some people may not like it. It may not be the film that they want, but it is Pat Pespis is the main character. Sam Littman, the dude who's like the main, he's the VO and the director, one of the directors of the film, I guess. He's the secondary sort of character, but it's like these dudes, they're sort of everyone. They're just there. It's a fucking heroin addict. It's a dude that dropped out of school and got put into this place, and they're doing the job that they're saying is shit, So you firstly have to buy into the fact, and they try to explain like why they still do it anyway, even though they know it's like an answer is because they can't get another job. Like, so like if you don't accept that and that's not a good enough moral explanation for you, then you're gonna really struggle with this, I guess. But yeah, I think as a fly on the wall esque documentary, I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes so far, and I'm keen to see the third one and see how it all wraps up. But yeah, it's cobbled together by lots of pieces with sticky tape, I think, and like,
it's definitely something that's came together in post. So much because a lot of voiceover, like explaining what was actually going on and that kind of stuff, and there is a bit of a time jump from episode 2 to episode 3, and that kind of stuff. So whether this will make active change, I don't know. They kind of in the third episode they kind of address how the telemarketers are like moving away from actual people, and it's a lot of robocalls and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely entertaining, I would say. Which I don't think many people would have expected from a documentary about telemarketers. But yeah, as the only advice they'll give is the one that someone else gives. It's like, if you get a call from telemarketer, just don't give them money.
Yeah,
because it very rarely going to where you think it's going. Dylan, you check it out, an upcoming movie, Outpost.
Yeah, Outpost is the first film directed by what's his face from
from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Joe Truglio? Is that
the Truglio? Yeah.
So he wrote and directed this film. It stars his wife, Beth Dover, as Kate, who is at the start of the movie. You don't see it, but like you get the quick sort of, well, you see a little bit, enough to get the idea. She's attacked by her partner, domestic abuse sort of scenario, and she's struggling to sort of get that out of her mind and thoughts, and because of that she asks a favor of her best friend who like works out at I don't actually know because we don't have these in Australia, but picture Firewatch or like that Angelina Jolie movie, whatever that one was called. She wants to go and do a stint. I can't remember if it's like 6 or 9 months at one of these Firewatch stations out in the forest, and she's hoping that this sort of get away from the town, get away from her job, the big city life will help refresh her and like escape from the demons, I guess, that are haunting her and so forth. So she heads out there, but as she gets out there, she starts just struggling, and the movie is a lot of, is there some weird shit happening out here? Is it in her mind? Is this like she's struggling with it because of her like PTSD? Like sort of like you've got to, and that's part of the plot of the movie. I enjoyed it for the most part. I'm gonna put up a review. I'm posting it. I'm currently sitting around like maybe a 5.5 to a 6 as far as score wise. I feel like my biggest problem is I actually didn't love the main character, and I don't know if I feel like it's half a problem of she's the whole movie. To get into it, you have to be really, and not to say I'm against it, because obviously someone domestic abuse, like it's pretty much you're on her side straight away, but like I really just didn't, outside of that I didn't find her interesting, I guess, as a person, and I do think it's actually a combination of both not giving her enough time in the script to build her personality outside of just being someone who's surviving. Like I'm like, I don't know who this person is outside of just a survivor. Like she's sort of just that. She's just a woman who survived a domestic abuse. I don't know anything else about her, so she's just like, I'm struggling to find more to gravitate towards there. And then Beth Dover was fine. I do feel like maybe someone else who could have brought a bit more personality to the role through the performance might have helped as well. Would have been good. I really liked Becky Ann Baker in this. She shows up for some reason, which I thought was wild because, like, I know this is a smaller movie, and shout out to Tad Lasso's mum. It's shot well and everything else, and I definitely feel like there's enough signs that, as odd as it is to say that, Joe Lo Truglio, who's mostly known for playing comedy characters in TV shows and movies, has a thing for horror, but apparently it's a thing where comedy people love horror. So I think he definitely shows signs of being able to have an eye for how to do genre picks. He does at times fall into a lot of pit holes of like really hanging on random stuff to like shots of fucking bugs and stuff for too long, just to, I think, presume like add to tension of a moment or like weird the viewer out. But it just that they are like the sort of like first picture moments, I feel, where it's like someone else with a bit more experience would have known that was sort of not needed, or a better way to build the tension and whatnot. So as a debut for this sort of thing, yeah, decent. Yeah, and I'd be keen to see what he could do in a follow up picture.
All right. So I know when you were here, you're really keen to see Asteroid City, and we just couldn't work it out time wise. So I went and saw it Friday. So of course, this is the latest film directed by Wes Anderson, with a stacked cast, including Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton. This is an odd one. It's definitely the most Wes Anderson-y thing recently. I don't know, yeah. The interesting thing, based on the trailers, I don't think you would realize, the movie is the set. What's happening in Asteroid City is actually a play, and then it's the movie also covers the events of the performing of the play, like behind the scenes and the making of the play, and like them figuring out what they want to do, and like the bickering between producers and actors and that kind of like some interstitials in there as well. Meanwhile, the bulk of the actual movie is about a bunch of families going to Asteroid City as part of like a Stargazers event. Like these kids have won these awards and get to go to Asteroid City to see this special eclipse kind of thing, and then an alien shows up, and everything happens from there. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's definitely got that Wes Anderson style and dialogue, and weird kind of odd jokes. Steve Carell plays the owner of like the motel park, and he's got all these weird like vending machines that you can like get cigarettes and cokes, but then you can also buy plots of land in Asteroid City through these vending machines. Yeah, it is. I didn't love it. I wanted to love it, but yeah, it's. I don't know. Maybe it's because it is so multi-layered, like overly metatextual. Um, I don't think it has enough heart. Maybe, you know, or it's just trying to be a bit too clever for its own good. And I just don't feel like it had like a fitting ending either. Because the other point is that Jason Schwartzman's wife has died, and he's only just told his kids that she died like 3 weeks ago, and they're all having to deal with that through the process. So yeah. So I would not put this amongst Wes Anderson's highest works, but still a solid movie. I also went out and watched the documentary Rose Gold, which follows the Boomers Australian basketball team in 2021 as they go to the Tokyo Olympics. And, if you know anything about that, they went to win the bronze medal. But it kind of documents the history of the Australian basketball team and how for several decades they would always come fourth place so would always miss out on a medal at the Olympics or at the World Cup and that kind of stuff, and kind of documents the struggles and how, obviously they built up from nothing at the 52 Melbourne Olympics, and then went, the basketball program in Australia kind of developed and grew up, and then you get this core nucleus of players, including Paddy Mills, Joe Ingles, Matthew Dellavedova, Andrew Bogut, who kind of brought the program forward, and then Paddy Mills kind of leading the cultural change of the team and that kind of stuff leading into the Olympics and that kind of stuff, and then that takes up half of the movie, and then the other half is like kind of following the team in Tokyo, which is kind of billed as you get a big behind the scenes look at what happened at the Tokyo Olympics. But I feel like that was definitely the shortest element of the movie. I feel like there wasn't a lot of footage there that you didn't see on Channel 7. Or the other weird one is Matisse Thybulle, who's on the team, like had a vlog like leading up to the Olympics. It feels like a lot of, having watched that, a lot of the moments are very similar and that kind of stuff. And that could just be the restrictions of like shooting stuff at the Olympics. Is like they're like how they're all very tight, and obviously this was an Olympics during COVID, so everything was kind of, I would suspect, very boring, and like it's practices or in your hotel room, that was it. So, but yeah, it was an enjoyable watch. So yeah, that's currently in the cinemas. I'm pretty sure it's coming to the ABC at some point later this year, because they co-funded the project. But yeah, that was cool. I recommend checking it out, especially with the FIBA World Cup going on at the moment. Interesting timing. Dylan, I've seen you've been watching Utopia.
Yes, I just added Utopia to Netflix.
Yes.
I think in time with the new season that dropped. So for Utopia, this is the Australian show, by the way, because there's like 3 different fucking shows called Utopia. It's wild. So I started watching it from the start. Season 1, 2014. Very funny. The pitch for the show, because Bill didn't miss it when it was on ABC. I've caught episodes. I've never seen it, like watched it properly though. Like I've seen bits, but never. Have you ever watched it? No. Oh.
No.
So the pitch is it's set inside of a fake office building in Australia, in Melbourne in particular. This it's called the National Building Authority. So apparently this is a government organization that like oversees planning of infrastructure, buildings, roads, stuff like that. Yep. It's a thing. It leads to, I couldn't believe it. My mind was fucking blown. 2014, this first season I've nearly finished. And there's a fucking episode, I think episode 6, where they come down to Tassie and they do a fake, they like hold a town hall and ask people what they want. People like roads, a bridge between Victoria and here or whatever else. And then they go back and fucking Kitty Flanagan in the show plays this character who's just like, I don't know, like she comes in with the worst ideas ever. So the main character comes back and he's like, cool. So we like did all this stuff in Tassie and they want roads and stuff. And she's like, cool. So we're going to do a stadium, right? I was like, are you fucking... And then he's like, no, who said a stadium? She's like, well, they want a stadium, right? And he's like, no one said anything about stadium. Yeah, but Tasmanians, they don't know what they want. I'm like, this is fucking nearly 10 years old. I was like, I couldn't believe how fucking on point this joke was. It's like, this is what I'm living through in my life at the moment. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah, so it's very like situational humor and obviously Australian humor and whatever else. Very funny sorts of characters in it. I think there was another part where like they're trying to build a road. They're trying to like build a road or something somewhere, and they can't because these people are like, oh, there's like a really rare piece of grass here or whatever else. And they get this whole team of like 8 people come in that like they work for the, the grass survival, like some made up name of whatever. And they're like, well, how about we just move the grass? It's like, well, you can't do that. Why not? Because of the habitat. It needs to be there. It's like, okay, well, how about we just like run water around it this way? And It's the best line. He goes, "How can we just run water like around that?" And the dude's like, "Where?" He's like, "We'll design it so the water comes around. We can leave the grass where it is, and then the water will run around, and the water can run into the lake. We can't do that. Why not? We can't run water into a lake." Like, what? I was like, it's just such stuff. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. I'm keen to keep watching it. They dumped a few ABC Australian shows on Netflix the other day, I saw, or last week. So
it's interesting. Like,
yeah,
got to get that content up because getting any new stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, it's of a higher streaming quality than you'll get if you tried to watch it on ABC iView. So
It's like, I saw that Fisk was like one of the top shows.
Top shows, yeah. So
very weird.
Maybe it's this, like, because a lot of the people involved in this show, you know, I don't know, is this all tied together with the return of Thank God You're Here? Like, one of the girls in this, what's her fucking name? She's the host of Thank God You're Here now.
Celia.
Celia Piccolo. Yeah. So she's like the host of Thank God You're Here. She's one of the main characters in this show. You know, so I don't know. Is it all tying?
I mean, pretty sure it's all the same.
There's all the same production company and producers and whatever else. Like, this show is created by Tom Gleisner, you know, who's got his hand in a lot of Australia's big comedies, and of course the hosts have you been paying attention, and you know, he used to host and be involved with Thank God You're Here. So I don't know, there's a lot of connecting dots here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move into one of my favorite segments, films Dylan can finally watch.
Finally, at last.
It's about time. It's been 84 years.
Yeah.
Dylan, you literally had to move across the state borders to watch this movie.
Yep.
Watch Talk to Me.
Finally watched Talk to Me. I only had to fly all the way out to Brisbane to watch it. I had to fly all the way up to Brisbane to justify my pre-order of the collector's edition Umbrella's putting out. So that was because I pre-ordered that shit as soon as I saw it go up. It comes with a fucking hand and everything. I was like, I need that. But also, what if I don't like the movie? So Talk to Me has been one of my most anticipated movies of the year. So I was very excited to finally get a chance to watch it. And it has lived up to my expectations, I'm happy to say. I think it was very, very good. I mean, the movie's been talked about to shit by now. I'm pretty sure anyone who doesn't live in Tasmania has probably watched it. So, you know, other than Ash, he refused to come watch it because he's a little baby. So, the plot of the movie, in case you do live somewhere like me who somehow missed it, is like you
have the reasonable feeling that you don't enjoy horror movies and don't want to watch them.
You know, horror is one of the most, you know, oldest genres in cinema. I know you feel like, you know, come together. Nosferatu, come on, what are you doing? The story is like a bunch of kids, teenagers, I guess, young adults, whatever they are. They've got this hand, this fucking embalmed hand, and that when they don't know, there's a little explanation to explain where it comes from. It's like, oh, this guy sold it to me, blah blah blah. Anyway, they get told how to use it, which is you have to light a candle. And then you take a hold of it. You say, talk to me. A spirit appears in front of you. And then if you say, I'll let you in, it like sort of takes over your body for a short period and like talks for you and stuff. But the rule is you can't go over 90 seconds or else the spirit like might stay in you. Of course, if this all sounds like an easy way for shit to go wrong, correct, shit does go wrong. And then the friends start seeing spirits in real life and all sorts of weird shit going on and whatever else. Just this movie, I think one of the, like, I was really excited to see it because it had such a cool idea and trailer and everything else like that. But it is an Australian horror film. It's from Raka Raka YouTubers, Danny and Michael Filippo. They have such like a wholesome story between, I think, how they got this movie made and everything, and refused to change how they wanted to make it, which was in Australia with Australian actors and all this sort of stuff. And then it got picked up at Sundance by A24 and like all those really, really cool things, I think. And it's a really, really good horror movie that doesn't fit, again, similar to, I guess, past lives, it really doesn't actually feel like their first feature film. And they've had experience, making their own little shorts on YouTube and whatever else, which I guess has paid off because, there's just a lot of like a lot of the time they don't go straight for the easiest scares and whatnot here, and the way they build tension and scenes, and they don't go over the top with it. The movie only has like one scene where it's like one scene of gore. It's not like over the top or anything. It's not like a bunch of jump scares or anything. It's just mostly the idea of it that's scary, I guess. The My only negative, I guess, because if we're not just full fanboy for every Australian film that comes out, I do feel like after there's a point like sort of towards the second act, like where shit goes crazy, and the film never really has a moment that like ever elevates to the point of this one scene. Like that is the height of the movie, and everything afterwards never can reach up to the potential of that. Maybe they would say that they never were trying. Like that was sort of supposed to be the highest, scariest moment in the movie. But I do feel like you spend the rest of the movie like sort of expecting something else. Maybe not as brutal as this one particular scene, but at least build up the tension. I guess a bit more. Really great performances as well. Sophie Wilde, who I'll say no, I've seen like all of their feature films now. She was in The Portable Door, which came out in Stan at the start of the year or whatever, and now this, and then so officially, very weird because The Portable Door, she plays like she co-stars in that, and that's a family film, and now she stars in this, and it's a horror film. So, but she's very very good in this as the main character, and everyone else is fantastic as well from the bunch of kids and everything else. I loved the film has a fuck, I can't remember the terminology wording. Like just a, what do you call it when it just starts? It's like no, like it just like sort of in a TV show where they do like a pre-title
Cold open.
Yeah, like has a very like cold open. Like it just starts with this like person walking into a party happening, and like you're like, what the fuck's going on here? And it's just like all this stuff, and it builds up, and it's a really great way to start the film before it actually has like a title card and everything like that. It was really really good, well put together. Really cool ending as well. Sets up the potential for this universe to continue, which I'm pretty sure they will. The movie's made a fuck ton of money. It's like 50 million over like $5 million budget or whatever the fuck it was. Like it's made a shit ton of money. Miranda Otto, again, shout out to her. She's really good in it. Having someone of like stature, one name, I guess, is good as well. Yeah, I really, really loved it. I can't wait to watch it again when my collector's edition arrives.
All right. Yeah, so you feel justified in that pre-order?
100%.
Are you going to hold that hand?
Yep, say talk to me. See what happens.
Okay. All right, that's everything I watched this year. Let's move into a little bit of film news. Big news of the week in what has become an expected inevitability. Warner Brothers Pictures made good on leaked invitations at the studio from a month ago. Dune 2 is abandoning its November 3rd release date in 2023 altogether, and is now moving all the way to March 15th, 2024, ostensibly because of the ongoing writers and actors union strikes. And just like that, the floodgates appear to be open for a max exodus of the fall film slates. So yeah, Dune 2 isn't the first film to be delayed due to concerns from the writers and actors strike. Of course, Zendaya starring Challengers moved to April next year. Kraven the Hunter moved a full year to August 30th. And Ethan Cohen's Drive Away Dolls moved to February 2024. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Dune 2 moving, and especially so late, because they have like a bunch of press, like I believe Empire magazine, like a full front cover, like good to go, like full stories about Dune 2, like press leading into the cycle. So yeah,
I'm pretty sure I saw this news post, the delay, and then like 12 hours later, Empire's like, hey, revealing our front cover. So awkward. I mean, none of this is surprising. I think it was all expecting, like if the shit wasn't sorted out around now, the delay probably was going to happen. I certainly was like, there was that initial thing of like, I was looking forward to that, but ultimately, like with all these delays, I'm just not gonna like, whatever. Like I can wait to watch them for everyone to get their so everyone can get paid properly. It's fine.
Yeah, I think this one's the one that's been the most interesting delay. Like, people have like angry the most about this. Like, I've seen people taking shots at anyone and everyone. It's like, this is the, why would you do this to us? And like, yeah, like, people really wanted to
Well, if
come
you're
out
gonna
this
get
year.
get angry at the studio for not paying people properly, and then
Yeah, it's a weird one because these studios realize they need these actors and writers to like promote this movie, but they can't, and their option is we'll push it down the road rather than agreeing to a deal, you know. But it's also interesting that obviously they moved this. They moved. What was the movie they moved? There was something in the slot that Dune 2 was it? Oh, it was Godzilla of Kong, whatever, X something. That got moved, and then the Lord of the Rings animated movie got pushed because of the Godzilla movie. But interestingly, Warner Brothers has still Wonka, The Color Purple, and Aquaman slated for the end of this year. Do you think those get moved, or are they going to stay there?
Yeah, I'll delay them next month.
Okay. Have we seen our last big budget movie for the end of the year, I guess?
No, the Marvels will still come out.
You think so?
Yeah, I reckon they'll delay that. I think Disney knows that they can pretty much stick out a MCU film without press and still make some money for their, like, especially in a world where they've got to choose to release some stuff so they can get some money in the books for the financial year. I think releasing MCU films is smarter, or no, the smarter thing is just to pay the people the money. It'd be that's the choice they're going to make, though, I think.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say because obviously, the movies that have been released the last few weeks have not done fantastic numbers. I mean, Barbie is still like.
I mean, Equalizer 3 is about to come out. Is that
yeah.
big budget, or does that count? Or?
I don't think so. In my opinion, do you think Equalizer 3 is a big movie?
I haven't watched any of them, so I don't know. I mean, Denzel Washington is a big star, though. So
yeah, but he's not doing any press, so I mean that's going to make a massive difference.
Yeah.
I mean,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that released and did reasonable numbers, I believe. What, it's sitting at 136 million worldwide, 99 million in the US. Yeah, there is definitely a concern that we could be, if the strikes continue, very bare summer. Yeah, I guess it's definitely one of those wait and see things. Yeah, that's kind of all the news we had this week. So yeah, let's just jump into giving some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers that we're about to talk about in the show notes below. This week was rough because there was a lot of trailers this week. Like, at least 2 trailers I need to cut to keep the usual 5. So, if it, we didn't talk about one of the trailers you were excited for, let us know. First trailer for this week is Cat Person, directed by Susanna Fogel, starring Emilia Jones, Nicholas Braun, Geraldine Viswanathan, Hope Davis, Fred Melamed, and Isabella Rossellini. A college student who works at a movie theater goes on an awkward date with an older man who may be a murderer. Tell him, what do you think of trailer for Cat Person?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is a murderer, but
how sure?
I'd nearly put money on it, to be honest. I mean, this. So I watched this. This was, sometimes you put trailers in. I did watch this one already when it dropped the other day. Obviously we've watched a fair bit with what the fuck's her name?
Emilia Jones.
Yeah, Emilia Jones. And she was in one of our favorite best movies of the year a couple of years ago. So,
she was in the Academy Award-winning Coda.
It does have a degree of, like, I don't know what the genre, like, it seems redundant to say men is bad genre, sort of. You know, like, you know, without.
It's not
And
all films.
yeah, I mean, men are bad, but I just hope it's got a little bit more to it than just like just something a little bit more than just older man seduces woman. Turns
Dylan,
out
are you
he's a
saying
fuckhead.
not all men?
No, I'm saying old man, but also I just want a little bit more from the movie. is that
Yeah. So
Yeah?
what are you giving it?
I'll go 1 up, 1 down.
Interesting. I'll give it 2 thumbs up. I think it was a really good trailer, setting up the uneasiness, perfectly displaying how awkward the whole first date was, and you know, the one night stand or whatever, and then lots of interesting visuals and that kind of stuff, and kind of, and it ends on the note. The final line, I believe, of the trailer is, "Guess one of us has to die." So like, is she gonna murder him? Is she gonna, you know, is it all in her head? You know, maybe he's just a nice guy who, you know, didn't do anything wrong other than lie about having a cat. You know, but we'll see. So yeah, based on a short story in the New York Times. So it's really interesting. I'm excited to check it out. This one is coming to US theaters on October 6th. No Australian release date. Next trailer is for Flora and Son, directed by John Carney, starring Eve Hewson, Jack Rayner, Oren Kinlan, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Flora, a single mother who argues with her son Max in an attempt to find him a hobby, retrieves a guitar from a dumpster and discovers that one person's rubble can be a family's salvation. Dylan, you're a big John Carney fan. What do you think of this latest trailer for his new film?
Yeah, double thumbs up for sure. I can't wait for this. I think it looks really, really great. John Carney just has such a magical way of making movies about how music can be used to connect people in different ways and stuff. That's his whole genre, I guess. And in a world of films that I'm not sure what will get released, the fact this is coming to Apple means that I'm pretty safe it'll actually get released. So I would definitely say this is probably one of my most anticipated movies into the back end of the year.
All right. So 2 thumbs up?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's 2 thumbs up for me as well. I think, yeah, it looks really good. It looks like a John Carney movie.
Mm-hmm.
It has the music elements. Yeah, and just the family drama. Like, obviously, this one told from the adult's perspective rather than, obviously, Sing Street, his last movie, told from the children's perspective. But the mother and son kind of connecting a little bit, at least, about music was really lovely to see. Justin Gordon-Levitt looks good. Cool to see Jack Rayner in another John Carney movie. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see this, and excited it's coming to Apple TV Plus. So it's releasing on Apple TV Plus worldwide, except for Ireland, which I believe is just showing in cinemas over there. September 29th. Next trailer is for Foe, directed by Garth Davis, starring Saoirse Ronan, Paul Mescal, and Aaron Perret. The lives of a married couple are turned upside down when a stranger arrives at their farm and informs that the husband will be sent to a large space station and his wife will be left in the company of a robot. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer for Foe?
All I could think about was that episode of Black Mirror I watched from that last season, where the 2 characters were living with, like, they're up in the space station, Aaron Paul and I can't remember who the other person was now, but they're like up in the space station, and then they get they're living with they have a robot version basically that lives with their families on Earth, who they shoot down and like control at different points and stuff like that. So it's not exactly the same as this, but like thematically it just reminded me of sort of similar sort of stuff, which I thought was interesting. Double thumbs up though. I think it looks very good. Saoirse Ronan doesn't do a bad movie. Paul Mescal is probably one of the most interesting actors, I guess, coming now, like in the indie space of films and stuff like that. Ever since Normal People a couple of years ago, that TV show, sort of everything he's been in has sort of got talked about Of course, After Sun last year. So I'm going to double thumbs up. I'm keen. I like weird stories like this. So
Yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up as well. It's just interesting, like how much of this is all leading up to the decision, or like it's hard to tell the timeline of the movie from this trailer, which is probably a good thing. It's an interesting concept. It feels like any of those like films like that, someone's made it's a classic monkey paw situation. You kind of get what you want, but you have to deal with small consequences and see how that kind of plays out. So 2 thumbs up from me. Saoirse Ronan looks great. Paul Mescal, like you said, breakout actor of the last few years. Like his star's just getting bigger and bigger. Like, and the other actor, Aaron Pire, I want to say, looked very good and like an interesting presence. Interesting to read that like Keith Stanfield was meant to play that role but had to drop out, unfortunately. But it's like a solid replacement. So yes, Foe releasing in the US, releasing every year in Australia, 19th of October. For now. Next film, The Imaginary, directed by Yoshiyuki Momosi, produced by Studio Ponic. An imaginary friend must return to his creator before he is forgotten or captured by an evil man who can see imaginary friends. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer for the latest film from Studio Ponic, whose last movie was Mary and the Witchflower?
was it? I thought they did one in between.
They did Modest Heroes, which came to Netflix.
Yeah. We don't count that?
I mean, you can. It was like an anthology film. Like, this is a first feature.
All right, first feature since Mary. Okay. Yeah, we talked about Mary, obviously, on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, probably. So,
No? Mary and the Witch, that's like very early on.
All right.
Like
4 years ago.
We've been doing this for a while.
Have we? Oh no. Yeah, so I'm keen for this. With that said, I'm double thumbs down the trailer. I think it's a bad trailer. I think it's all over the place. It's nonsensical. It's just like, I don't feel like this is a good trailer at all. I'm keen for the movie based solely on seeing Studio Ponic at the start and going, cool, yep, I'm intrigued to know that. I mean, basically, for people who don't know, it's like, hey, one of the dudes who was working at Ghibli went off and created another studio, and then Mary and Witchflower is the first film, and here's the next film. Cool. I don't even need to know what it's about. I'm intrigued. Trailer was just bad. Double thumbs down.
Wow. I'll give one up, one down. I think, some of these trailers they can showcase the wild, fantastical elements, and like you don't necessarily need to know exactly what's going on, especially when it's this new creative world that they're kind of introducing and exploring. Obviously, it's the world of imaginary friends and that kind of stuff. I was actually, my expectations grew like based on the actual trailer itself rather than the still image that I saw. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look fantastic. It looks a bit weird, but seeing it all in motion, I think it looked really good. Yeah, so I'll give it one up, one down. Yeah, so we did watch Mary. We talked about Mary and the Witchflower on episode 12 of What Do You Want to Watch back in 2018.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, so if you don't include an entire pandemic, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's how I treat time.
So yeah, this is releasing in Japan on the 15th of December. There's currently no Australian release date, but we would imagine 2024. Final trailer for this week. Rebel Moon, directed by Zack Snyder, starring Sofia Boutella, Charlie Hunnam, Michael Huisman, Digimon Honsu, Duna Bay, Ray Fisher, Cleopatra Coleman, Jenna Malone, Frey Free, Ed Skrein, and Anthony Hopkins. In a universe controlled by the corrupt government of the Motherworld, The moon of Veld is threatened by the forces of the Imperium, the army of the Motherworld, controlled by Regent Belisarius. Cora, a former member of the Imperium who seeks redemption for her past in the leadership of the oppressive government, tasks herself to recruit warriors from across the galaxy to make a stand against the Motherworld's forces before they return to the planet. Dylan, what did you think of this teaser trailer for Rebel Moon?
I'm gonna double thumbs up. I think it looks like an absolutely wild world of every single genre ever made. Like sci-fi, fantasy, fucking Nazi-looking motherfuckers. Like it's there's lightsabers, there's swords, there's fantastical beasts. It's just insanity. And it'll either be very, very good, I feel, or just terrible. And I don't think, I just don't think, or at least that's how people are going to feel about it. And again, that's a Zack Snyder movie in a nutshell, I guess. But
well, let me ask you this question: what are your feelings on Sucker Punch?
Bad movie, really good premise.
Do you think this will fall in the same?
Hopefully not, because I actually feel like Sucker Punch's problem is was that the studio mandated like the PG-ness of it. You know, they were like, oh, you got to calm down, all this other stuff. Like I've heard her talk about. I'm like, you can't calm down the plot of a movie where it's a bunch of people getting like abused and the girls are escaping into their fancy world to deal with the trauma. Like, how the fuck do you tame that down? That's such a fucked up, Anyway, Sucker Punch is a whole thing. So I really enjoy the cast. Like, I really like Sophia Boutella in everything I've seen her in, and getting a chance for her to like star and lead something like this is really, really cool. There's a bunch of other people in this I really like as well. Like Charlie Hunnam, Jenna Malone, Anthony Hopkins, of course, and whatever else. Also, shout out to the fact that Ray Fisher's in this, and Zack Snyder's like, fuck it, come over here, I'll give you another go. We'll see one through. We'll see one through together this time, like sort of thing. Yeah, I just think it's such a like the movie almost seems like a joke with how much it looks like at times. It's like, oh, that's Star Wars. That's a fantasy movie. That's like it's just everything. It's yeah, either be very, very bad or very good. I feel, and I'm hoping it'll be good. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. Cleopatra Coleman. Yeah, forgot to say her. So
okay,
double thumbs up.
What's Cleopatra Coleman from?
She's an Australian actress.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'll give it 2 thumbs up as well. It's like it is visually a lot. It's like leaning into Zack Snyder's strengths of crazy visuals and visual moments and that kind of stuff. This is a really good put together trailer. Enhanced by Anthony Hopkins just monologuing for like half of it, whether the movie's actually gonna be good, I don't know. It's like it's definitely one of the most intriguing projects of the year. Obviously based on a idea Zack Snyder had for Star Wars that they didn't want to follow through on. So he did his own thing, and Netflix just gave him a bunch of money to make this movie, which is now apparently 2 parts. But yeah, very interesting, and like they're making video games about it, so I mean they must have some sort of faith that this is going to be something that could potentially be an ongoing franchise for them. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to see where this goes. So yeah, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, releases on Netflix 22nd of December 2023, and then Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, will release April 19th, 2024. All right, let's move into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And Dylan, this week, One Piece is about to release on Netflix. So this week's top 3 is top 3 animes that could work in live action. Dylan, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Claymore. So this is an anime that could be very similar to I feel like they could do it very similar to the Witcher, because it's basically about these. It's been a while since I watched it. It came out like early 2000s. It's basically about this group of like creature monster things that can like shapeshift and like turn into humans and like hide, and they're like killing people, and it's set during a period that's very like sort of medieval fantasy like, and then these people are created. They're all female as well, even though I mean technically they don't really have a gender because they don't have sexual organs, but they're all female for some reason, and they're put together and they're like these claymores, and they're like each protecting a region from these monsters. They basically go around killing them. So yeah, it sounds like they're like half they're created with half the cells or whatever of these bad creatures. So they've got like the superpower of them as well, so they can fight back against them and stuff like that. And they fight with giant swords and shit like that. Very cool. The anime is like sort of known because the ending, they rushed the ending. The manga hadn't finished at the time, so they just like were like, fuck it, let's just do our own sort of thing. And then yeah, the ending of the actual anime is kind of shithouse, but the whole show is probably one of my favorite animes. So well, the idea of it and everything. So I think it would make a cool world, especially with the way people like Witcher. Very similar.
My number 3 is Full Metal Alchemist. I know they did a Japanese version of the live action, a couple of movies, but I feel like
fuck the Japanese.
I feel like movies are not necessarily the best way to adapt this. I think as a series, you could like slowly delve out the story. It's got the fantastic elements of like people using alchemy to make shapes or use elements and that kind of stuff. But it's also got this political like conspiracy theory element to it. I feel like would work over the course of a couple of seasons. And of course, it's got these key moments that I feel like would work with a little bit more time, like invested in them and that kind of stuff. So that would be my number 3. Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Black Butler. So this is a series that's set during. I like how every time I say something, Ash is like, "I've never heard this," and you think I don't know anime.
No, I don't. I've
fucking-
heard Black Butler. I've watched it.
So Black Butler is about like this, I don't know, like a young kid who's like 12, 14 or some shit like that. It's set during like Victorian era London. His parents die and he somehow, I can't remember. Anyway, he somehow in the first like episode ends up in the hands of like this fucking cult who are like going to sacrifice him to a demon or some shit. And then the demon ends up, when it turns up, it ends up like turning and says that he actually turned up because of the kid's actual call for help for him. And then the kid makes a deal with the demon, which is, hey, kill everyone here and then help me seek revenge for the people that killed my family. Help me track them down and kill them. And then you can eat my soul. And that's like basically the setup for it. It's very cool. It would be very, I just think Victorian era London stuff is done well. It has like obviously very gothic vibes and whatever else if it was done well and whatever else I think. So and I think this sort of setting and tone and everything with the right casting and everything else would be really, really cool. So really well done. So yeah, that would be my next pick. I would do this again as a TV show, not a movie, simply because there's a lot of sort of the anime obviously has a lot of, not monster of the week, but like there's sort of these so many separate stories and stuff like that you couldn't just adapt the story of, hey, he kills the parents, end of story. There you go.
My number 2. I feel like I needed to put a Studio Ghibli film on the list.
Fair enough.
And the one I picked is Princess Mononoke, the best Studio Ghibli film. Yeah, I think it's an interesting world, interesting characters. It's got that action element that I feel like would Western audiences would appreciate. There would be a lot of CGI characters and that kind of stuff and creatures, but it's definitely one I could see them adapting into live action. Like with you'd have to get Asian actors and that kind of stuff, but playing but old 14th century worlds, period piece-esque, but with these crazy spirit animals and that kind of stuff. I think it'd be really cool. Dylan, what's your number one?
Number one is one of my favorite anime of all time. One of the first anime I watched. Probably the second anime I reckon I've watched. Because if the first was Death Note, I reckon this is the second series I've watched. It's called Hellsing. So, vampire. I think it's like set after World War II, but basically there's this like secret organization, Helsing, like fighting back against undead monsters and whatever else, and they've got Alucard, the first ever vampire that works for them after I don't think they ever showed it in the anime, or maybe they did, and I know they did like a remake series, but I never actually watched that one. Where like Van Helsing beat him back in the day or whatever, and then like got him to agree to help the this one royal family now, so he like fights for the humans instead of the monsters and stuff like that. Anyway, there's a bad guy group that's basically Nazis who are trying to get a bunch of undead army not Nazis to take over the world and shit like that. So has lots of really cool fights and scenes, and Helsing or Alucard is like just a badass character who just has these massive guns that are way too big, but it's very cool. So yeah, loved it. I've got all the manga too, and I read all that. So
Okay,
good shit.
My number one, Megalobox. So this is the boxing anime, kind of a retelling of the classic Shito no or Tomorrow Joe boxing manga. Set in like a futuristic late 21st century Japan, where boxers use exoskeletons to fight. But then there's this guy called
Was this
Joe.
a Hugh Jackman movie?
No, that's you think of Resteel with the actual robots.
Right. Okay.
This who doesn't fight with gear, exoskeletons, to set himself apart in order to enter in a massive boxing competition called Megalonia. Yeah. Boxing, cool. People with mech arms and that kind of stuff, that could be really cool. But you know, at its heart, it's like a classic underdog story. So that I feel like would easily be adapted here in the West, or just in live action. So yeah. All right, Dylan. This week, what do you want to watch?
Oh fuck. Well, hold on. I forgot about the segment again. All right, I've got this.
Yeah.
One day. This week I would like to watch Invincible season 2.
Is that this week?
Apparently. Unless I got it wrong. Unless they moved it? Oh no, they must have moved it. Never mind. I'd like to watch nothing.
It's pretty harsh.
I don't care about it. What's here?
One Piece.
Don't care. Yep.
Okay.
First
Haunted
week,
Mansion. Do you
I'm
want to see
picking
the
that.
Haunted Mansion?
Nope.
Do you want to see Past Lives?
Yep. But I've already watched it.
Okay. This week I want to watch One Piece. Also interested to see the first episode of Wheel of Time season 2 releases this week. And then in select cinemas, Ego, the Michael Gudinski story documentary will be released. So Michael Gudinski, a big person behind the Australian music industry. He worked with nurture iconic artists like Skyhook, Split Ends, Jimmy Barnes, Paul Kelly, Hunters Collectors, Kylie Minogue, Archie Roach, and Youthy Yindi, as well as promoting a lot of international acts here in Australia as well. He's got a documentary coming out this week that I'd be interested to check out. Let us know what you want to watch this week by going to explosion.com/Twitter and letting us know on X. Or go to our Discord by going to explosion.com/Discord, or find us at ExplosionPod on most social media. If you want to help us out here at Wonder Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. Tell people about the show, leave us 5 stars, and equally 5 stars. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time. keep watching stuff, I guess.